Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarchinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Bhagavad Gita Vadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैः स्तवैः वेदैः साङ्कपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसां पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यां तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prabhadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. So, having talked about the solution to the problem of samsara from the 14th to the 18th shloka, and after having pointed out that the only solution to the problem of samsara is bhakti alone, starting from artha bhakti and then moving to arthartha bhakti, then graduating to jignasu bhakti, and finally ending up with jnana bhakti or as a jnana bhakta. And also after highlighting that amongst the four types of bhaktis or bhaktas, the Jnani Bhakta is the most dearest. Jnani, that is, Bhagavan is most dearest to Jnani Bhakta, and a Jnani Bhakta is most dearest to Bhagavan. And in this sloka, the 19th sloka, Krishna is pointing out that to become a Jnani Bhakta is not very easy. As I have repeatedly been saying, it's a very long journey spanning many births, not years, many births. But the saving grace is that everyone will eventually become a Jnani Bhakta, even if it takes hundreds of births. Therefore, even though many of us are in the waiting list for moksha, there is a guarantee that we will all eventually attain moksha and get liberated. And therefore he says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prabhadyate. At the end of many janmas alone, one will even think of jnanam and begin to value moksha. And valuing moksha is needed for maturity. Because we saw in the Vivek Chudamani, Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam. Very rarely you get all these things. And therefore, at the end of many janmas, Jnanavan man bhavati. A person becomes jnani. That is, he comes to the fourth level of jnanam or fourth level of bhakti. And how does he become jnanavan? Through Vedanta Shravana Manana Nididhyasana Dvara. Guru Upadesha Dvara Saha Jnanavan Bhavati. And then what happens? Krishna says, Mam Pravadyate. He attains me. He becomes one with me. He merges into me. What does that mean? It means the gap between him and me is removed. The so-called gap, the misconceived gap, misunderstood gap, that is removed. And what is the nature of this jnanam? Vasudevaha sarvam iti jnanam. Vasudeva alone is everything. That is the knowledge. Vasudeva is everything means what? Who is this Vasudeva? Because generally people who read Bhagavad Gita without any Acharya, immediately, they will think Vasudeva is Krishna. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam. This is what will come into the mind, isn't it? Krishna has got a name Vasudeva. And probably it is because of this misconception, misunderstanding, is the basis for the entire Krishna consciousness movement. Even though that is what Veda, Abheda philosophy. Dvaita, Advaita philosophy, both. ये भी चलता है, वो भी चलता है. This is also okay, that is also okay. Dvaitam is also okay, Advaitam is also. That is where there is no proper understanding of the Upanishad and even the word Vasudeva. Because like every word in Sanskrit, the word Vasudeva also can be interpreted in different ways. One is, as I said, Vasudeva Sutam Devam is Vasudeva. But here, Vasudeva Sarvam does not mean personal God. To say that Krishna is everything is logically impossible, isn't it? If you are talking about a personal God, Krishna, you know that personal God is finite, finite in nature, time-wise finite, spatially finite. He is born on Janmashtami day, and later on, Swargaharanam is there. And similarly, physically also, personal God is space-wise limited. And that is why when we read Bhagavatam, we have stories. He got away from the gopis. He becomes Nuktaha. Gopis started crying. Then he again manifested him, showed himself, went back to the gopis. Therefore, the personal God Krishna cannot be everything. And therefore, the Acharyas give a different meaning to the word Vasudeva. The Advaita Vedanta Acharyas. What is that? Here, Vasudeva does not refer to the finite personal God, but the infinite Brahman. Wherein Vasuhu means Satrupam Brahma. The Lord who is in the form of the very existence principle. We will see more about all these things later. But here I'm just giving you a small hint. Vasuhu means Satrupa Ishwara. How do we get that meaning? Vasanti Sarvani Bhutani Asmin iti Vasuhu. That's a derivation word for Vasuhu. So the word Vasuhu, you can derive it in this manner also. Vasanti Sarvani Bhutani Asmin. The one who resides in every being, every living being, every non-living being. He is Vasuhu. The one who is Sarvavyapi is Vasuhu. So that existence principle in which all beings exist. And Devaha means what? Chidrupa Ishwara or Brahma. Again Brahman. Swayam Prakashate iti Devaha. Swayam Jyoti. Therefore, Vasuhu means Sadrupa. Devaha means Chidrupa. Vasuscha Asau Devascha. That is the Samasa. Satchit Rupam Brahma is here Vasudevaha. And that is why in the 4th chapter, Krishna said, Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havihi, Brahmagnau Brahmana Hutam. So, a Jnani alone knows when he is studying Bhagavad Gita, it is not the personal God Krishna that he is referring to. He is Krishna Paramatma, the formless Krishna in the form of the entire creation, is what is being talked about. So wherever Krishna is using a personal pronoun, aham and all that, we must immediately understand, depending of course on the context, because some places he will say aham as a friend of Arjuna, because he is a friend of Arjuna. So depending on the context, we will have to interpret, but mostly whenever Krishna says, referring to himself, mom, etc., we must understand he is referring to Krishna Paramatma, not Krishna the personal God, not Devaki Nandana Krishna. That we must understand. So Vasudeva has sarvam iti jnanavan. So that jnani has got such a knowledge. And Saha Mahatma. Such a Jnani alone is Mahatma, the great seeker, the noblest soul. And Sudurlabha. Such a person is extremely rare. Krishna is not saying it for the first time. He has said this in the beginning of this chapter also. If you remember, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidyatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschinmam veti tatvatah. That he has said. He said it in the 3rd shloka of this chapter. So what he wants to say is, as such, in the world, out of all the people, a majority do not know what moksha is. And even if they know what moksha is really in terms of the Shastra, Upanishads, they don't want moksha. And among them who want, only few people come to this stage of bhakti. And therefore, that Jnanavan is the rarest, Sudurlabha. And what is the message he is giving Arjuna? Arjuna, you have achieved the rarest, achievements which many other people have not achieved. So this also you may strive to become a Jnani Bhakta. Of course, you may start with Artha Bhakti, but eventually your goal should be to become a Jnani Bhakta. And it is not a message to Arjuna alone. It is a message to all of us who are students of Krishna through Bhagavad Gita. So with this, the 19th verse, the topic of bhakti as remedy for samsara, samsara nivritti upaya rupa bhakti topic is over. Now from the 20th shloka, Krishna is entering another topic. And we will also enter along with Krishna and see what that topic is. कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रबध्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया. So the Anvaya of this shloka is Niyataha Swaya Prakritya Hritajnanaha Taihi Taihi Kamaihi Prabhadhyante Anya Devataha Astaya Tam Tam Niyamam. Niyataha, governed. Swaya Prakritya, by their own nature. Hritajnanaha, and deprived of discrimination. Tai tai kamaihi, by various desires. That means other people. Resort to anya devataha, other deities. Asthaya, by taking to tam tam niyamam, various disciplines of worship. So governed, or you can even say compelled by their own nature and deprived of discrimination by various finite desires, the others, other than these jnani bhaktas, resort to other deities by taking to various disciplines. So, in the following portions, Krishna is going to classify bhakti broadly into two types. Earlier, he classified bhakti into four types. Now, another way to look at bhakti, another standpoint, Krishna is introducing. What are the two types? Sakama bhakti and Nishkama bhakti. These are the two classifications of which Krishna is going to deal with. Sakama bhakti from verse 20 up to verse 26. He will talk about both the plus points of Sakama bhakti, the advantages, and he will also talk about the minus points of Sakama bhakti, the disadvantages. It's a very objective presentation of what is what. He gives us both the choice, both options. If you choose for this, you will get all these things. If you don't choose, you will get all these things like that. Then from verse 27 to 30 onwards, Krishna will again talk about Nishkama Bhakti and also its advantages. And therefore, once we finish this chapter, we will get to compare and contrast Sakama Bhakti and Nishkama Bhakti. So now, what is the general meaning of these two words? So Bhakti we can roughly translate as devotion, worship of God, etc. So the attitude of devotion, the act of worship, both together we call Bhakti, reverence. And Sakama Bhakti means using Bhakti as a means for finite ends of the creation of the world. Using Bhakti, that is devotion and worship, as a means for accomplishing finite goals of life. And as we know in the Shastra, all finite goals are classified as what? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Purushartha. Artha means all types of material wealth, which is one form of finite goal. It is a finite goal because all forms of wealth will get exhausted at some time. If not in your generation, maybe in some future generation. Because it is said, I don't know how far it is true, I don't know whether there is any data for that whatever one generation earns and accumulates as wealth, the next 3 generations lose it. Somebody has probably made some study and come to this conclusion. So any wealth that you accumulate eventually will be exhausted, will be gone. So that is Artha Purushartha. Then Kama Purushartha. Kama means what? All forms of sense pleasures or entertainments. That is another form of finite goal which will also end. And Dharma means all forms of punyam, which will take a person to higher worlds after death. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka, etc. And according to the Shastras, all higher lokas are also finite in nature. So therefore, dharma, that is punyam, artha, kama, they will all come under finite goals. They have a date of expiry. And to generalize, we can say any other goal other than Bhagavan, Ishvara, God, is a finite goal because God alone is beyond time and space. Everything else other than God falls within time and space, and whatever falls within time and space is finite. And therefore, everything other than Bhagavan is a finite goal. And these finite goals we can present in different forms. Dharmartha Kama, finite goals. If you use Kathopanishad language, all forms of prayers is finite goal. If you have to put in religious language, everything other than Ishvara is finite goal. And if you want to present in Vedantic language, all material things are finite goals, all anatma, all material things are finite goals because all materials are subject to destruction. And Sakama Bhakti means a bhakti through which I seek finite goals. Simple language, we can say materialistic bhakti or business bhakti, commercial bhakti, barter bhakti. I will do this for you, Bhagavan. In return, you give me that. In fact, it is not even in terms of in return. First, you give me that, then I will give you this. This Bhakta wants to play very safe. Doesn't want to take any risk. So you will say, I will keep this money in my puja room. Huh? Okay. Then I will do bhakti, puja. Then you give me what I want. Then I will come to the temple and put this and do archana and give this money to you. So Bhagavan will be looking at that money. Oh, this is one day going to come to me, going to come to me. So better Bhagavan also become materialistic. So he will say, oh, better let me fulfill his wishes so that I will get this money. You give me a house worth lakhs, will say the Bhakta, and I will do a archana spending 15 or 20 rupees. You cure my disease and I will give you a what? A Lavana Tulabharam, that is a Tulabharam equivalent weight of that person in salt, I will give. How much it is going to cost? In fact, there is an interesting anecdote. It seems one person was suffering from a terminal disease and he prayed to Tirupati Venkatachalapati and said, if you cure me, I will offer you a diamond ring. Because this fellow had a diamond ring. He said, I will offer you this diamond ring if you cure me. Naturally, the cure of such a disease would take time. And the Lord, being very truthful and honest, eventually cured that person and fulfilled his side of the contract. Then it was time for this Artha Bhakta to fulfill his end of the bargain. So he said, I have been actually wearing this diamond ring for a very long time. This is, when I got married, my father-in-law gave, so I've got some sentimental value for this. So instead of giving this ring, I will go and buy a similar ring from the market and give it. It will all be the same. Bhagavan will understand. So he went and inquired the cost. Now, diamond ring cast in gold, cost has increased, manifold. So he thought, oh my God, so costly, I have to buy the diamond ring and give. He thought, okay, I had promised to give a diamond ring at a cost which prevailed at the time of the promise. Now that price has gone up. So what I will do, I will fulfill my promise by giving an amount equal to the price of the ring when I promised to give. I will go and put it in the hundi in Tirupati. So with that sankalpa, that fellow took that money and he went to Tirupati, put it in the hundi. And if you are smart, Venkatachalapati wants to prove that he is smarter than you. So when he dropped that money, the money and the ring he had in his finger also fell into the hundi. Now he lost both the money and the ring. Yat gatva na nivartande. How can you get from the hundi the ring back? You cannot collect it. So Bhagavan has got his own methods to extract everything from you, what you promise. So don't think that you can get away. Therefore, we are all, business bhaktas, contract bhaktas. And Krishna calls them Sakama Bhakti. And the second type of bhakti is what? Nishkama Bhakti. Nishkama Bhakti is a bhakti which is not used for material end. There is no desire for material end. Nishkama Bhakti does not mean total desirelessness. We understand this carefully. It does not mean that the Nishkama Bhakta does not have any desires. In Nishkama Bhakti also there is a desire. But the desire is for the infinite. Ishvara, Brahman, Moksha. So Nishkama Bhakti is Sakama Bhakti, in which a person is no more interested in Dharma, Artha, Kama. No more interested in finite ends. No more interested in material ends. But he is interested in the infinite. That is security, fulfillment, and permanence. This is Nishkama Bhakti. Mumukshu Bhakti. Mumukshu Bhakti is Nishkama Bhakti. Bubukshu Bhakti is Sakama Bhakti. Bubukshu means the one who eats. One who is a consumer bhakti is Sakama Bhakti. That is the difference between Nishkama Bhakti and Sakama Bhakti. And having talked about both these bhaktis, Krishna wants to say both bhaktis are okay. There is no problem. But ultimately, you should know that Nishkama Bhakti is superior to Sakama Bhakti. And ultimately, you have to come to Nishkama Bhakti alone. Like in the previous sloka, he said, eventually you have to come to Jnani Bhakti alone. So here also, eventually, traveling through Sakama Bhakti, you have to, final destination is Nishkama Bhakti. Take your own time. No hurry. Shastra is Anadi, Ananta, it's always there. So many births that you have taken, Shastra has been there. This birth you have taken, Shastra has been there, but you have earned so much, you have done so much dharma in the previous births, you have earned so much punyam, that this Manushyatvam you have got in this birth, which is a very rare thing. And you have also got Mumukshutvam. And Shastra is there, Guru is there. So you have already reached the airport departure lounge. Now continue with your Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam sitting in the lounge. Eventually the flight will come and you can board, then fly off. And this is what Krishna wants to convey in these verses. But for this purpose, Krishna uses a symbolic language. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna points out that he, the Lord Krishna, represents the infinite, as I told in the previous sloka also. Vasudevaha. We must understand Vasudevaha is not a finite Krishna, but it is infinite consciousness existence principle. So here, Krishna symbolizes the infinite moksha, and all other gods represent finite ends. Even though Krishna as a personal God is a finite only, as he has got a date of birth and the date of departure. Krishna has also got a finite size. He has got a form. He has got a name. So many names. Why one name? Many names. And therefore, any personal God, Shiva, Vishnu, Ganapathy, Ganesha, Devi, all are finite only. But a personal God can symbolize the infinite. We have to carefully understand this. Huh? A personal God is finite, but the personalized God can symbolize the infinite. It is something like, the flag of a country. It's a small flag, but it can symbolize a very vast country. Flag is finite, but it represents a very vast country. It's a small 3 feet by 2 feet flag or something like that. Can symbolize a vast country which has an area of 32,87,000 kilometers like India. So a small flag, the tricolor flag, represents India. And therefore, whenever you are looking at the flag, you are saluting the flag, you are singing Janagana Mana, you superimpose India on the flag. And then when August 15 comes or January 26 comes or at other times, like in Olympics or in many other occasions rather, any event, if an Indian gets a medal, the Indian flag is displayed and the national anthem is played. All these are what? Symbolic representation of the whole country. So similarly, we have got in our religion any number of symbols. Because the deities are countless in our religion. Rama is there, Krishna is there, Shiva is there, Venkatachalapati is there, Ayyappa is there, Murugan is there. It is said that there are 33 crore devatas. Countless devatas are there. And each devata is finite. But any finite devata can represent the infinite. And the general convention is, depending upon the type of scripture, the representation will change. If you read Shiva Puranam, then who is the hero of Shiva Puranam? Don't scratch your head. It is obvious, Lord Shiva. And therefore, Shiva Puranam, in Shiva Puranam, Lord Shiva will represent the infinite, and all other gods which are referred to there will represent finite goals. And if you go to Bhagavatam, Vishnu will represent the infinite, and poor Shiva or whoever it is will be part of Vishnu. Then go to Devi Mahatmyam. I am saying Devi Mahatmyam because our women students should not get upset. He is talking only about Shiva, Vishnu, and all that. Krishna. It's a woman's lib, Devi is the ultimate. So Lord Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, they are all at her feet. Devi's feet in Devi Mahatmyam. And in fact, a very glaring example, or I would even put a very, very classic example from Atharva Veda is a prayer to Lord Ganesha called Ganesha Atharva Sirsha. It is also called Ganapathy Upanishad. In fact, in Atharva Veda, there are 5 Atharva Sirshams. And it is based on that Adi Shankaracharya created a Panchayatana Puja. He said every person should do this Panchayatana Puja every day. What are the 5 puja to deities? What are they? First is Sun God, then Rudram, Vishnu, Devi, and Ganapathy. So for all these 5 gods, there are Atharva Sirsha in Atharva Veda. Anyhow, I will just give you an example from Ganapathy Upanishad, Ganapathy Atharva Sirsha. The mantra is addressed to Lord Ganesha, for whom is a finite God for all of us, isn't it? Ekadandam, Chaturhastam, Pasham Angushadharinam. That's a finite God. Description is there. Now the Atharva Sirsam starts like this, addressing Lord Ganesha. Tvameva pratyaksham tvat tattvamasi, tvameva kevalam kartasi, tvameva kevalam dhartasi, tvameva kevalam hartasi, tvameva sarvam khalvidam brahmasi, tvam sakshad atmasi nityam. I hope you all understand, a very simple Sanskrit. Then it goes on to say, Tvam Vangmayas Tvam Chinmayah, Tvam Anandamayas Tvam Brahmamayah, Tvam Satchidananda Dvitiyosi, Tvam Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvam Jnanamayo Vijnanamayosi. See, all description of Brahman, Advitiya Brahman. Then goes on to say further, Sarvam Jagadidam Tatto Jayate. Jagat Karanam, you are the Jagat Karanam. Sarvam Jagadidam Tattastishtati. You are the Srishti Karanam, you are the Sthiti Karanam. Sarvam Jagadidam Tvailaya Meshyati. You are the Laya Karanam also. Sarvam Jagadidam Tvayi Pratyeti. Tvam bhumi rapo nalo nilo nabah. You are Panchabhutas. See, this is the description of Lord Ganesha in Ganesha Atharva Sirsham. The visualization is Lord Ganesha, I am visualizing at Sakshat Brahman Tattvamasi. So I am offering prayer to that Brahma through this finite God. I am offering my prayers to that infinite Brahma through this finite Lord Ganesha. So whenever we are doing puja and things like that and all, or even when we are hearing, Purana stories and all, as Advaita students, we must look for all these things. Then all these things will become really meaningful, interesting. Then you will slowly get, okay, eventually the truth is only this. Everything is Nama Rupa. I have superimposed a Ganesha with all the qualities and also the form and the name on that Brahman. So at the initial stage, I do not know this. I worship Ganesha as Ganesha. Namo Vratapataye, Namo Ganapataye, Namo Pramatapataye, Namostestu Lambodharaya, Vigna Vinashine, Shivasutaya, Varadamurtaye, Namo Namah. I worship Ganesha in that form that I can see, I can perceive. But when I graduate to the next level of bhakti, I look through Ganesha, I visualize Sakshat Brahman. Tvameva pratyaksham tattvamasi. That is what I visualize. Tvameva khalvidam brahmasi. Tvameva sarvam khalu idam brahmasi. That is what I visualize. So you have graduated as a bhakta. From a finite bhakti, you have actually graduated to infinite bhakti. You have graduated to singing the praise of the infinite Brahman. So therefore, in this, even though the prayer is addressed to Lord Ganesha, here in this Upanishad, this Ganapathy Upanishad of Atharva Veda, Lord Ganesha, apart from being a personal God, because personal God description is also there in that. In fact, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha is explained in words. So, personal God explanation is there. The same personal God is seen as a impersonal, infinite God, and the prayer to that infinite God is also offered. It's a very beautiful, in fact, one must actually memorize that. It's not a very big Atharva Shirsham, easy to memorize. It will take, if you memorize and recite it, it will take probably 5 to 7 minutes. And one must then understand the meaning of that. Every word, very simple. And then when you are reciting, recall that meaning. That is Nididhyasanam. So all this beautiful, our Shastra is so beautiful, I tell you. If you go into it, study it, understand it, intellectually so fantastic thing. You cannot find a parallel anywhere in the world. Therefore, if you read the complete mantras of this Upanishad, of this Atharva Sirsha, you will get the description of Saguna Brahman in the form of Lord Ganesha, and also Nirguna Brahman, the non-dual Satchidananda Brahman. Tvam Satchidananda Dvitiyosi Advitiyosi. And it is not only this Ganapathy Upanishad or Ganesha Tarvasirsha. You take any of our scriptures, any Purana, you will find that finite God is referred to, interspersed with infinite, and the finite God referred to is only a symbol or a representation of the infinite. Therefore, even though no deity is infinite, but any deity can be used by us to invoke the infinite. And therefore, which deity is superior will be determined by your invocation. If my Ishta Devata is Krishna, he will represent the infinite for me, and all other devatas will be finite. And if my Ishta Devata is Ganesha, Ganesha will represent infinite and all others will be finite. In fact, Swami Paramatmananda ji gives a very nice example of a checkbook. Checkbook has got many leaves, 20 leaves or something, sometimes 10 leaves, sometimes 50 leaves. Now, what can we say which leaf is superior and which leaf is inferior? Which leaf is more valuable and which leaf is less valuable? Please mute yourself. Well, before filling up the check leaves, all leaves are the same. But after writing which, the amount and all, which leaf becomes more valuable will be determined by what amount you fill in. Suppose in the first leaf you write 1 rupee, and in the second one you write 1 lakh rupees. Naturally, the second is superior and more valuable, isn't it? When you are carrying that check or to give it to somebody, you will be very careful. You may not bother so much about the 1 rupee check. Therefore, if you ask, is Vishnu great or Shiva is great, what will be the answer? Vaishnavas will claim that Vishnu is great, and Shaivites will claim that Shiva alone is great. If they say that, our Shastras say that both of them have not understood the Vedic teaching at all. Who is great depends upon your invocation. Whom you invoke, that God, that Devata is great for you. Does not mean all other Devatas are inferior. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna represents the infinite, and therefore the Anya Devatas, which he refers to in this sloka, represent the finite gods or finite goals of life. And therefore, in the following portions, Sakama Bhakti will be presented as Anya Devata Bhakti. Symbolically, Sakama Bhakti means Anya Devata Bhakti, worship of any god other than Krishna, Krishna Paramatma. We must distinguish between Krishna and Krishna Paramatma. And Nishkama Bhakti will be equal to Krishna Bhakti. So Krishna Bhakti will represent Nishkama Bhakti, whereas the goal is Krishna, the infinite. And in Shiva Purana, Shiva Bhakti will be Nishkama Bhakti. Goal will be there that Shiva is the infinite. And in Vishnu Bhakti or Ganesha Bhakti will be Anya Devata Bhakti. You can call it a lower form of Bhakti. I wouldn't call it inferior, I'll say lower form of Bhakti. So, bearing in mind this symbolism, we have to read the following slokas. First, Krishna will talk about Anya Devata Bhakti, otherwise known as I said, Sakama Bhakti. So he tells in this verse, Kamaihi Taihi Taihi Hritagyanaha Anya Devataha Prabadhyante. So he says there are some bhaktas. They are interested only in finite ends. Kamaihi here means Dharma Artha Kama Ichchaya. Ichchaya. Either they want wealth, or they want entertainment, or they want punyam and higher lokas. And because of these various desires, what do they worship? Anya Devata Bhajante. They worship other finite deities. Because each finite deity can give one finite end, one finite result. Like Ganesha, why do we pray to Ganesha, worship Ganesha for removal of obstacles. Isn't it? We worship Lakshmi. Why? To give us wealth. That is also finite wealth, isn't it? Saraswati Devi, we worship. Saraswati Devi represents knowledge. So she will give knowledge. You will get knowledge, but you may remain a very poor person because you have not worshipped Lakshmi Devi. So one Devata will represent only health. Ashwini Devata or Dhanvantri Devata. And another Devata, Surya Devata, will represent the power of perception. So as I said, the Ganesha Devata will represent only freedom from obstacles. Thus each Devata giving a finite result is worshipped by the Sakama Bhakta and Anya Devata Bhakta hai. And one will say, Navagraha also you can take. Go to Rahu temple. Some people will say, see your horoscope. Go to Rahu temple. Go to Ketu temple. I think there's a Ketu temple somewhere near Kumbhakonam. Whatever temple. Go to Sanishwara temple. That's the most respected temple in the entire India, isn't it? Shani Devata draws the maximum crowd on Saturday across India. North, south, east, west, everywhere. Shani Devata is very famous. Because people are scared of the Shani Devata's effect on their lives. They talk about, Sade Sati, 7.5 years, all that kind of Shani, Dasha coming and all that. So this deity, that deity, for what? Either removal of a particular problem or attainment of a particular result. Prabadhyante anyah devataha. These people surrender, resort to the Anya Devatas because of their intense desire. And because of this desire, what happens? Hritagyana hai. Their discriminative power is stultified, obstructed, blunted. And why do you say their discriminative power is blunted? Because if they think a little bit, they can easily know that even if the finite desires are fulfilled, they cannot give lasting happiness because those objects of desire will go away. Jatasya dhruvor mrityuhu is there. Whatever is born, whatever comes will go away because they are finite. They are bound to go away sometime or the other. So these people, they don't realize that finite objects can give me only a temporary fulfillment. And that fulfillment will not last long. Such people do not have farsightedness. So here, Hritagyana means short-sighted people who cannot see beyond their nose, as they say. Hritagyana hai, Mooda hai, Alpa Buddhya hai, Buddhaya hai, Manda hai, Anya Devata hai Prabadhyante. They are Sakama Bhaktas. And then once you seek finite ends through bhakti, you have to follow all the rules of the puja. There are many conditions. It is not easy. In fact, it is much more difficult than Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Because you are seeking a particular benefit, there are so many conditions where the Purva Bhaga is full of that. There's a prayoga, how you have to perform a particular yaga, puja, etc. They will say that you have to do this particular puja at a particular time. Rahu puja, you have to do at Rahu Kala. You have to go to that Rahu temple, particular Rahu temple. Or some other puja, you take 1 lime, 2 limes, 3 limes, go there, empty that, remove the juice, and in that lime you put ghee or some oil and then light a lamp. All this, and they will say you have to go there, do this for 7 weeks, or every Saturday you have to do that. If you cannot do that personally, you give 25,000, 50,000 to me. I will do it on your behalf. Send me your photograph. All these things I'm not making up. Things are all there. This is all Sakama Bhakti. If you desire the long pending wedding of your son or daughter, you have to go to such and such temple and do the puja, abhishekam, etc. Then they will say, after the wedding, you have to visit the temple again with the bride and do the puja and abhishekam again. Then after birth of the child, you have to again visit the temple and do everything all over again. There are so many such temples, so many such conditions are there. So many confusions are there. Because same temple, same puja, one fellow will give you one version, another person will give you another version. And this fellow will say that fellow what he's saying is wrong, and that fellow will say what this fellow is saying wrong. Neither you know anything about it, nor those persons know anything about it, but they will all. You will take your horoscope to an astrologer, and in fact, in many cases, that will be the starting point. And then you will be told every rule that you have to observe. Ahara niyama, naivedya niyama. Which deity will like which particular naivedya on which day? This day Hanuman like vadas, medu vada. This day Hanuman likes curd rice. It will all be what Hanuman likes, not what you like. Then they will have you offer a sari to a Devi, and they will also tell you what color. This day green color, this day yellow color, this day red color. All these things they will tell. And therefore Krishna says, tam tam niyamam asthaya. They religiously observe all those rules for the sake of getting those finite benefits. Tam tam is repeated. It's a expression in the language, Sanskrit language. Tam tam is repeated to indicate the respective rule associated with the respective devata. We say that no, that devata, that rule. I don't know whether it is in India, at least we say that devata, that rule. So like that tam tam niyamam asthaya. And all this because of what? Prakritya niyata hai. Because they are whipped up by their own raga dvesha. Prakriti. Because of intense raga and dvesha alone. Either they want to get something or they want to get rid of something else. For getting one type of puja, for getting rid another type of puja. All because of what? Raga dvesha hai. Here prakritya, in prakriti means swabhava hai. And swabhava means what? Personal likes and dislikes. Raga dvesha hai. And even if somebody talks about moksha and all to them, they don't have time at all to think. Because they are all busy running after this and that. And these raga dveshas are not one or two, they are infinite. Anywhere you turn, every advertisement is meant to hook you with one raga or one dvesha. Therefore, all these people they are all controlled, they are enslaved by their own karma, their own endless desires. And then Krishna continues in the next sloka. We will just read the sloka and discuss in the next class. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah श्रद्धयार्चितुम् इच्छति तस्य chalam shraddha tameva vidadhamyaham. We will say the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. धन्यवाद है एवरीवन. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Hari Om. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Guruji, what is the difference between personal God and personalized God?
Personal God is the God who is outside you. Personalized God is the God within you. It is just an expression. I mean,
No, anything personalized is to a person suit his requirement, individual's requirement. Is it not a personalized thing?
personalized means it is what I would say. I have internalized, isn't it?
Okay. See, what I get personalized may not be personalized for someone else.
Correct. Correct.
So, in
For
the case of
someone else,
God,
it will be a personal
in the
God,
case,
but for you, it is a personalized God.
sorry, I didn't understand.
For somebody else, suppose you have got
Hmm.
Krishna as your personalized God.
Okay.
He represents you what Aham Brahmasmi represents, that God.
Hmm.
Because when you say I am Brahman, it
Hmm.
is a very, what you can call, abstract concept.
Okay.
It does not have any form or anything.
Hmm.
So unless you reach a very high level of intellect, that intellectual capability to understand this abstract, like,
Hmm.
these mathematicians are there, they will
Hmm.
have this abstract buddhi, they can
Right.
visualize
Hmm.
all these physicists and all.
Hmm.
Like, for example, who has seen an atom or a molecule? Nobody.
Hmm. Nobody.
They have been able to conceive an atom or molecule based upon their understanding of the entire what is matter and what is energy and all that. So they have come to the conclusion that at the base level,
Hmm.
there,
Hmm.
there should be something like this atom or molecule, etc., etc. Not only that, for different elements, different molecular structures and all, they have been able to visualize. You and me
Correct.
have no clue about all those things.
Hmm.
So when we talk of God, the personalized God is a God whom I have internalized as myself. So because it's difficult for me in the initial stages
இது ஆஃப் பண்ணு.
visualize myself as a formless entity, I actually will.
இது ஆஃப் பண்ணாம பேச முடியாதுல்ல.
Please mute yourself, Vijayaji.
Hmm.
So I first internalize that particular Bhagavan
Hmm.
as a personalized God, and
Hmm.
all other gods for me become personal gods, whom
One
I
second.
worship
Guruji, when you say
me.
personalized, can it be plural also gods then? Need
Sorry?
not necessarily be a single god. It can
No,
be multiple gods.
there is no multiple God. In fact, this personalization is also one stage. Till you reach that stage of fully understanding, appreciating, internalizing, and abiding in Aham Brahmasmi.
Hmm.
That is why till you reach the stage, this is the intermediary stage. And that is
Hmm.
why in Ganesha Tarvasisham, which I explained, Twameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. You are the Brahman, right? Who is Brahman? I am Brahman. So when I say Twameva, you alone are Brahman. And if I know at the back of my mind that I am Brahman, that means what? There is no difference between you and me.
Hmm.
So Ganesha, when I'm reciting, that becomes a personalized God.
Hmm.
It's a
For
very,
that moment, no, is it for that moment only?
for that moment, and if you keep on doing it,
Hmm.
any God that you choose, like my Ishta Devata, suppose is Guru Ayurappa.
Hmm.
So then then that becomes very close to me, right? I'm Guru Ayurappa and is very close
Hmm.
to me. In fact, then I will pray to Guru Ayurappan in a way that there is no difference between me and Guru Ayurappan. And then what I will do, I will remove the name and form Guru Ayurappan, and what is remaining? Me only.
Mm.
That is the subtle difference between personal God and personalized God.
No, personalized God can be also Ishta Devata, is it?
Ishta Devata, any Devata, it is your choice.
When you say Kula Devata and Ishta Devata,
Yes, you
will
can
it?
say Kula Devata, any Devata. Need not
Mm,
necessarily be Ishta Devata or Kula Devata. Some people
mm,
have got, Hanuman as a personalized God.
okay.
Neither Kula
Mm,
Devata nor Ishta Devata for anybody. But it's a Devata.
mm,
There is Hanuman Chalisa. They will recite only Hanuman Chalisa.
correct.
Hanuman Chalisa will
Mm,
contain all this description of Hanuman as
yes.
Brahman, as the infinite.
Mm.
So for them, Hanuman becomes a
Ishta
personal
Devata
God.
or personalized
And
God.
even Rama, Sita, everybody is a personal God. They will go to Ayodhya, do puja and all that. But for them, Hanuman is the personalized God.
Okay.
So that is how, I mean, our Shastras are, from one angle, very complicated. But at
Right.
the same time, they are very profound, very deep. And it
True.
requires a lot of effort on our part to go into that, understand the nuances which are there,
Mm, mm,
which is not there in any other, culture. And that is
correct.
why,
Correct.
people who have been exposed to other cultures, they find that very easy. If you have gone to some convent school and all, you will not come anywhere near Vedanta. When you come to Vedanta, understand all these things, it is very deep significance is there. That is what it's all about, rather. So our understanding also grows, one stage level to another level, like that.
But at the moment, it is little blurred now.
It is blurred. It will be blurred. That's why I said it is not easy to get to that in one janma. Bahunam
True.
janmanam ante Krishna says. But as I said, why should we assume that this is our last janma? Maybe second last janma, not the beginning. At least it is not the beginning because we have come to Vedanta. So after so many births only, we are now doing in this birth what we have not done in the earlier births.
Earlier births. Okay. Mm.
So we have actually, as I said, we have
Made
reached,
a.
we have checked in, we have reached the lounge of the airport for waiting for our flight. Now, when the flight will come, if it is an Air India flight, there is all possibility that there is the fog in Delhi and flight is delayed by few hours and things like that. All
At times, it
possibility is there. But
overbooked and you'll be deboarded.
you will be, but clarity is there. Flight will come and you will be bored.
True.
Even if
True. True.
that flight is cancelled, they will arrange for another aircraft and you will go. You will reach your destination. That guarantee is there. So wait. And if you happen to fly first class or business class, you will be in a nice lounge where all snacks, everything will be there.
Mm.
Enjoy. So that is what we have to do. Enjoy everything just. In fact, Puja Swamiji
Correct.
we used to meet students one by one, used to meet Puja Swamiji. He used to say only one thing. Don't put too much pressure on your mind in understanding everything, Sanskrit, this, that. Just enjoy what you are doing. 3.5 years you spend, enjoy. Take it lightly.
Mm,
One
mm.
thing guarantee, everything is going into your mind. It is going and getting recorded, even though you are not conscious of it. He says, eventually all these things will help you. And I have in my own personal experience, I have found Puja Swamiji's words to be absolutely 100% true. Because when I was in the Gurukulam, like what you say, all these things were totally hazy, because
Mm.
there's no background, nothing. Now I have started last 6 years teaching with starting from Tattva Bodha and one. Then I am now putting my own effort into understanding this more and more. Upanishads and all that, reading this commentary, that commentary, the
Mm.
Swami Paramatmananda's talks, then Swami Sadatmananda's, Puja Swamiji's talks. Then I get different perspective, then the understanding becomes clear,
Okay.
very clear.
Okay.
So many examples. All those examples, different Swamiji's give different examples. Maybe one example will click for one person, but the same example may not click for another person.
True, true,
So
true,
when
true.
you are exposed to 4-5 examples, then your understanding increase. And it was not only a very beautiful journey at that time, it is a beautiful journey even now for me rather. So I'm really truly tell you, every day I just look at news and all that few minutes, and then I get into reading and preparation for the classes rather.
Class, I know. Yes.
So that is so engrossing and so fulfilling rather. So I'm not worried about moksha and things like that and all. Let it happen when it happens. Right now, I am actually getting all the fulfillment that I want in my life. That is what it is all about. And secondly, all these details about personal God, personalized God, all that, they are irrelevant when it comes to moksha. See, they are all not moksha. They are only for you to come to that.
True.
Right? You first standard, you study A for apple, B for boy, etc. But
Correct.
that is not going to give you IAS job. But unless you learn that, you will not go to a stage where you can
Foundation.
take the
Foundation.
examination and so foundation. So
Yes.
all these chapters, everything foundation is being laid so that your thinking is stimulated.
You are able to gradually build up then.
Gradually build up, assimilate, digest what is being told. You don't outright reject anything. You say, let me listen to all these things, then I will think about it, then I will make up my mind. Nobody, Krishna is not forcing Arjuna, no, this is the only thing, you have to do this and all that. He's not saying that. In fact, in the 18th chapter, he will say, whatever I have to tell you, I have told you. Then he says, whatever you wish, you do.
Your choice.
Your choice, I leave it to you. Whatever you want to do, you do. This is the maximum I have given. Second chapter I told you, fourth chapter I told you, then again because you had so many doubts, I went into detail, everything I explained about bhakti, everything I told you. I even showed you my Vishwarupam, everything. In all, by words, by action, by acting it out, everything I have shown you. The reality of what this Jagat Ishvara and Jiva Jagat Ishvara is. That is nothing more that I can tell you. Now it is your wish. Yatechasi tatkuru, he says, whatever you want. Then Krishna, the Arjuna says, Nashto moha. I will do what you are saying, Krishna. Like that he says. So all this is all that build up only that. Yeah.
Thank you very much,
be careful not to get lost in the details. That is important.
Okay.
Enjoy this, learn this, understand this, clear your doubts, everything fine, but don't get lost in these details.
Details. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you, Hari Om.
Namaskaram.
Yes, Vijay Ramji. Sorry, Lataji.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. I think you are getting answers to many of your old questions now in this chapter, isn't it?
What, Guruji? Sorry.
I think you had a lot of questions about bhakti and all that earlier.
Yeah.
And you are now getting answers to many of those questions in this chapter.
Yes, Guruji, very much.
Am I right?
Yes, Guruji. Lots of questions are doubts and unanswered ones, and all the dormant questions are being answered even before they come up to the surface. That's very true. What you were saying.
Tell me, what is your question today?
And it's not, I can't say it's a question, Guruji. It is, our scriptures are so vast and complicated and thing, and then from one stage of bhakti, you progress to another stage of bhakti, and finally the Jnana Bhakti, and then the mukti happens. Mukti happens or realizes or whatever. I was about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Guruji. Of course, his Ishtadevata or Aradhya Devata was Ma Kali, and then through his sadhana, he attained Brahmatvam. Then it is said in his biography, once he reached that Brahmatvam, then he wanted to establish whether the same Brahmatvam can be reached by following other dharmas as well, other religions as well. So he actually took the Diksha from a Maula for a period of time, and then followed what their guidance was for towards attaining the highest there. And he said it is he attained the same Brahmatvam by following that, and he also did that with the Padre, with a Christian father. For that period of time, he did nothing about the Hindu or Vedic culture. He just became that, and then he followed whatever was prescribed and whatever was advised, and he attained the same Brahmatvam. So I was wondering, is this are the other religions are just the simplified version of the Vedantic teaching, the Sanatana teaching? Because when Swami Vivekananda was there in England, they were not able to withstand his fame in the society of Swami Vivekananda. So one evening when all the other religious heads and they were all gathered together, they purposely kept the Bhagavad Gita or some Vedic book, the Grantha, underneath all the other religious books, and they said, "See where your book has gone." Then he just pulled that out, and then all the others fell apart. And then he says, "This is what Vedic Dharma is. This is the root of all the other dharmas. All the other dharmas spring from this, and this is the basis of all the other dharmas." So I'm just wondering, this the other dharmas, you just named two, that Islamic or the Christian, and so many other dharmas are there. Are they all the simplified versions of the Vedic dharma? Because the example Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa established by saying that all the dharmas lead to the same Brahmatvam or same God.
See, a good question. I don't know, because I don't know much about other dharmas other than what I've heard from here, there, and things like that, and a little bit, right? But whenever we read, especially Christianity, there are many aspects of Christianity which are, when you read that, you feel that you are talking about some aspects of Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, not completely. So we do not know, because there are stories. Now, see, one thing I will tell you. So many people will quote all these, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda, and all make up some stories. Whether they are actually real or not real, or they are
But
just...
Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, it is real, Guruji, because it is one of his own very close shishyas who had like how Mahabharata was projected and then it was written down. Like his life story was projected to him by Sri Ramakrishna, and then he wrote down the thing.
So, in the case of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, once you have reached that state of Brahmatvam, nothing else exists. So everything is the same. Isn't it? So Christianity, you call Islam, everything is nothing but name and form of that same Brahman. So if you reach that, you don't need to do any experiment for that and take a Diksha. There is no Diksha insofar as other things are Diksha. There
not
only
Diksha,
our culture, right?
Follow.
Just to follow, you go and spend some time with some Mola or somebody, try to understand their scriptures. But when such people go through any scripture, they will only understand those scriptures from what their already understanding is, that everything is Ishvara alone. The Ishvara is a word that we give.
Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was an illiterate Guruji. He could not read or write. He could only sign his name and nothing more than that. So he only followed whatever he was asked to follow.
For Brahmatvam, all that you need to understand is Sarvam Vasudevaha iti. Everything is just existence consciousness principle. There is no name, no form, no Islam, nothing. Everything is consciousness existence and it is limitless. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. If you understand that, then everything is the same. Samatvam Yoga Yuchyate. Krishna says. So when you are talking to such a person, you must not look at him from your level of thinking. You must understand that person from where he is coming from. Isn't it? So that is all we have to understand. We cannot start comparing because we have heard so many things about Christianity and this thing, Islam, etc. One of the basic tenets of Sanatana Dharma is non-violence, ahimsa, right? But that concept is not there either in Christianity or in Islam. So how can we say we can equate those two? Because they believe in violence only. They believe, ours is live and let live. For them, it is live and let die. That is what is their philosophy is. And we can see that in so many wars, so many killings. You cannot find any Indian king who is a Sanatana Dharmi who has waged wars against others. Not that they have not fought battles. They have. But with the intense purpose of killing, that is where the whole basis of our vegetarianism is there in Sanatana Dharma. So we have to understand all these things from a very broader concept, rather than looking at Islam, Christianity, then you will say Zoroastrianism. So many other things are there. All those things do not have all the specific concepts which we have. We have. And the basic tenet, like for example, Christianity, the 10 commandments which talks about in the Old Testament. What are those 10 commandments? All our niyama, what we talk in even Yoga Shastra, that is.
Yes, sir. Yes, Guruji. Actually, when you go to the tenets of Islam religion also, they're also very much similar to thing. I think that's what I was wondering whether these religions are just simplified versions so that people can understand easily.
Possible. Yeah, it is quite possible because we don't know that part of history. Because you see, one thing is, nobody can challenge that Sanatana Dharma and our scriptures are the oldest one. All other religions have appeared 1,000, 2,000, 1,500, 2,000 years ago, right? We have been there from Anadi Kala. This teaching has been there. So for anybody, suppose I know so much. Tomorrow I go to Kailasa, I set up by some island like Kailasa. I start my own religion. Then I will also, will become a founder of a religion. That is why we say our religion is, in all other religions, there is always a messenger, a prophet who has delivered the religion, right? There is a Christ. Christ is not Bhagawad. He is a messenger of Bhagawad, God. Prophet Muhammad was not Allah. Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of Allah. We have no messengers. We are directly from the source. Bhagavan has given us the Vedas. All our scriptures are given by Bhagavan. So that is a very big difference between the two. So one can conclude that yes, some people, well-meaning people from these, because 2,000 years ago, where was Christianity?
Yes, Guruji. This Sanatana Dharma is for the humanity itself, is it, Guruji?
So exactly. So our
the Sanatana Dharma
is for the whole humanity. Then somebody can.
For the humanity itself.
Because one thing you must realize, Christianity or Islam are all political religions. If you see the history, Christianity actually was formed 300 years after Christ was crucified. For 300 years after Christ's crucifixion, even though his teachings, etc., were there in the form of some Old Testimony, there was no Christianity. Then some Romans, what you call rulers, they thought, okay, let me use this for, making Christianity as a religion for political purpose. That's how Christianity has come. Similarly, this Muhammad also, Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
Prophet Muhammad, Christianity was the guiding this thing. In fact, if you see Islam and Christianity, you will see many teachings are very close, rather.
Similar, very similar.
Very similar. So Muhammad might have taught, if those people, Roman emperors can do that using Christianity, I will use the same concept, borrow it, and then create another religion called Islam, because that was more relevant for people in the Gulf region, Middle East region, and all that. They were all very, nomadic people without any education and things like that. Easy to convince them, very simply do this. So one can have a thesis on this rather, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no problem. But my point is, you can compare and you need not compare also.
No.
All that we are saying is everything, our religion is for everybody. There are no kafirs in our religion. We will not either dismiss other people, kill other people, remove other people, take away the right to live from other people, because we are Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is our main thrust of our culture and our religion. So if every other religions have borrowed, unfortunately, they have not borrowed the entire thing. They have taken here and there something which will be, if they felt that it will suit their purpose, it is enough. Let me take this and present it to the people and gain their political backing. That is what the other religions are about. We have to understand. And
Yes.
when you talk of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda, and they are realized souls. For them, all these things are immaterial, irrelevant. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That they have reached that stage. So when we reach the stage, we will also realize all that. Okay.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you so much for your
Thank
sharing
you.
your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.
Pranam.
Nothing else? Any other question? Okay.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Okay,
Thank
oh
you.
my God, I wanted to announce one thing. Next week, we won't have class because I'm going to Kumbh Mela. So I will send a message in the WhatsApp group. I wanted to, announce this before the class ended, but doesn't matter. I will send a message. Okay, at least 4 of you are there, so you can take it. We won't have a class. Okay.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om. Thank you.
So through you doing
Dhanyawad.
in the Kumbh Mela, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.